I feel like playing some Prison Architect, so I thought I'd make a Let's Play for it. And my first video should actually be a pretty good getting started video. An update of, I think I made a tutorial earlier. This will be a way better version. Let's see. We have different wardens to choose from now. And I think I'll go with this guy. His guard dogs have a 50% chance of fully uncovering any tunnels they detect. That sounds pretty useful. When we go with different genders, we'll go with the dudes. Gonna go with the medium size. We're gonna have fog of war, forest, failure conditions, of course. Gangs and events are completely new to me, so that'll make things interesting once we have a prison set up. Okay, now first thing I want to do is get a road going. Sort of help me plan out where I'm putting all my buildings. I use concrete tiles because they have a fast walk speed. And this part's not really that important, but I'm going to extend the deliveries room a little bit there. Gonna hire a couple more workmen to get the job done faster. We're going to be doing a lot of building. First up, I like to get like a fence started, because I like to put a fence all around the outside. Fences are no longer free, but they're really cheap compared to the perimeter wall, which is 200. These are only 3 each. But once you have some money, it's good building the perimeter wall as well. We're going to want to get to work on a foundation. I'm going to leave one space in between this foundation and the wall, because I can have guards walk around the perimeter. This is going to be the office building. And there we go. I'll do 13 by 16. And then we need offices for our warden and all of the other chiefs. Next up is we need a building to house the power and water supply. You don't have to put this in a building. I like to though. We're going to need entrances for both of them. You notice I don't build a gate yet because we need guards to open the gate, so I could build one and leave it open. Once I find a drawer, there we go. Once I finish building that, I can just lock it open, and then when I need to, I can always hit lockdown and it'll close all the doors. It's very useful to have a bunch of these open locked doors around the prison. You don't want them to stay closed because then you need a guard to open them every time. Especially in this is going to be a safe staff area. No prisoners should ever be here, except for when they get escorted past. And let's speed things up a little bit here. I'm going to try and see if I can get a mostly complete prison done without using any grants. As you probably know, if you play this at all, you pretty much need to take out grants to get your start going. Managing your initial amount of money is very important. It's very easy to screw yourself over, and you'll just basically have to restart and make a new prison. There we go. Now I got something I can work with. Now what I'm doing here is I'm making rooms for the offices. The offices only need to be 4 by 4, and there's absolutely no reason to make your office bigger, unless you're just doing it for decorative purposes. And I'm going to leave this area open, and this is going to be a staff room. We start off by placing all the offices here. Now I need to put doors in every one of these offices as well. Doors, doors, doors. Here's a staff room. We'll worry about that more later. And you hit R to rotate, in case you didn't know. You don't have to do staff doors here, but I just do staff doors anyways. The normal doors are a little cheaper, so if you're really trying to save some money, you can use those. Now, we want to hire a warden here. He can't really do anything, but you can place him. You won't actually be able to do any of the research over here in bureaucracy until we get his office set up. So that's usually the first thing I want to do. The funny thing is, you actually don't need any power at all. They can work in the dark until you get the power up. I like to just sort of like randomly place my stuff here so the offices look a little different. Give them a little uniqueness. You're going to need a desk, a chair, and a filing cabinet in every office. And you know, I usually try to put the chair behind the computer desk. It doesn't fit perfectly, unfortunately, but it's just for looks. And I usually do the staff room as well while I'm at it. It's very important to have a staff room for your staff to rest in, especially your guards. You'll probably want to have more than one throughout your prison. A couple drink machines, put a TV in there to watch, some wide sofas. That should fill all the requirements. As you see, the warden's office is already done. He's got some bricks lying around. They'll move that later. Next up, we want to get the utilities going. Very important. You can't really do anything without these. Well, besides have the offices. You want the power station and the water pump station. Now, as far as I know, the water pump is unlimited, but the power, you do need to keep adding more of these capacitors to increase the amount of power supply you have total. I usually start with 3 because they're very expensive. They're $1,000 each. So you'll quickly go into debt if you're not careful with those. But you can just surround this whole thing with capacitors. And if you need even more power later, you'll have to build another power station. I can just go straight down here. This is the main electrical cable. All of this will be powered. The power stretches like a little bit of ways from the main cable there. Stretch it out that way as well. And you can actually put the pipes over the electrical cables. I prefer not to. There's a few reasons you don't really want to, but they're kind of minor. You can if you want. It's just personal preference. Alright, next up is the holding cell. You don't have to build one, but it's required for the grants, so I recommend building one. It's also a nice place for your prisoners to first go before you assign them to their cells. It's good for handling overflow as well in case you're doing construction on the cells. This one will actually want a barred gate for. Now, only guards can open these jail doors, so we're going to have to hire a couple guards. You always want more guards than you need. Come to think of it, I also have to open this one, so we have to lock this one open. There we go. Because they probably, my workmen have probably been walking around this entire fence this whole time. That'll save them a little bit of time there. Now this is where things start getting a little bit more complicated. Is this building done? Whoa, a little bit of lag there. First up, we'll want to build a shower here. A shower room. We want our prisoners to be dirty. And they get pretty upset when they have to go to sleep with dirty clothes. And for the shower, you're going to want drains. They're not required, but they are necessary. Otherwise, the water will just flood out everywhere. And you're going to want some shower heads. And you're going to want to connect those shower heads to the pipes here. We're going to use small pipes. Then we have the main holding cell itself. You don't have to make it this big. You can make it much smaller if you want. You can actually go with a minimum size if you want, which is 5 by 5. So this is a very big holding cell. Mostly doing it for demonstration purposes. I'm going to put some toilets in here as well. Now, you're required to have toilets and benches, and it has to be enclosed. It's complaining about not being closed because I don't have a gate here. And now it should be fixed once that's done. I want to put just one bench. I don't think the benches are that important. And what it doesn't say you need are beds. Beds are super important. You want a bed for every prisoner that's in here. So we're just going to stick a ton of beds in here. I'm also going to stick some windows in here. Just so we're not like the evilest prison ever with no windows at all. I'm not really sure if it matters which way the window's looking. Maybe it does. It's kind of weird. No need for windows by the toilets. And again, we're going to want to stretch out these small pipes so that the toilets have water access as well, like so. And right now it's complaining because there's no canteens accessible by the cell. The two most important things to have in your prison are basically cells and canteens. Without a canteen or a cell, your prisoners can't do anything. In fact, I don't even think the holding cell even works. Right before we do that, I totally forgot about bureaucracy. We need to hire or do some research here. This is like your tech, basically. First thing you want to do is research finance, security, and maintenance. Now we're getting kind of low on money. I'm pretty close to doing it. If I made some smaller buildings and didn't make such an elaborate office to begin with, you probably could get by without making grants. But the grants are there, so you might as well use them. Alright, our first grant is going to be Administration Center. We get a $5,000 advance payment and $5,000 for completing it. Basically, it's like a mission. Now we have 2 offices. We have a warden. Now we need to unlock finance through bureaucracy. That's my first tech. And then we hire the accountant. Next up for our second grant is the basic detention center. That gives us a whopping, I think it's $20,000 advance payment, which is massive. And we get $10,000 for completing it. And this is basically all the basics for your prison. So we have the holding cell, a shower, at least 2 guards. We need to hire 2 cooks. We'll wait until a little bit later to hire them. And we need a canteen, which is like a dining area, and like a cafeteria, and a kitchen to make the food, and a yard for them to play. Now, once again, the yard is actually not needed for your prison, but you need to make one to get the grant, so you might as well. First thing we're going to do is get the canteen. Like I said, that's the most important thing, next to the having a cell. Alright, I'm going to start the canteen right here. I'm going to make it a little bit wider than the holding cell here. And I'm also going to place a kitchen here, right next to it. You usually want the kitchen pretty much attached to your canteen. I'm also going to extend the path up here a little bit. I'm going to make another building, and this building is just going to be for storage. And it can be a lot smaller than the other buildings. I think 13 by 7 is pretty good. Should be big enough for what we need it for. Alright, and now we're just gonna speed things up a little bit. Oh, I should put down the door as well, though. So we're gonna want a jail door for this one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm counting because that's how long the tables are. A staff door over here. And we'll just speed up time and hopefully they complete this right. Alright, storage room's done. Stick that in here. And basically this is just where all the stuff from deliveries and other stuff that you make in the prison will go to. And extra objects, like when you dismantle an object, they will get moved over here. Alright, now this is very important. And let me get these walls up first. Alright, I'm going to place a metal detector here. Now, they're kind of pricey. They cost 1,000 each, and they need to be powered directly by electricity. So we need to actually stretch an electrical cable all the way up here. I might as well just make another line. This one needs a direct connection to the main electricity, as well as some of the other stuff we'll be making over here. Now what this will do is detect metal objects, such as knives and forks and spoons and stuff from the kitchen, because we do not want our prisoners to have that. It's called contraband. We basically don't want them to have anything they can use to hurt each other or escape from the prison. Or themselves even. Might be a little suicidal. Alright, first up, we're going to work on the kitchen. So without a kitchen, the canteen's pointless. Set up that canteen here too. Yeah, I made this... I'm not sure if I made this the way I wanted to. Maybe I was wrong about the tables and they're 5 long. Oh well. We'll work on the kitchen first. Now what the kitchen needs is cookers, fridge, and sink. Now this is where some numbers come into play. With the basic stuff, you want 1 sink per 1 fridge. I'm just placing 2 because I want more. One sink per 2 fridges per 4 cookers. And that's just for your basic food. If you want to increase the quantity you give your prisoners, which you usually do, you usually want to add more cookers and fridges. You can usually get by with less sinks because some of the dishes clean themselves just by soaking sometimes, I believe. And it's actually a little complicated, so once you decide what you want your regime to be, you might have to add more or less of each of these. And we're going to want to hire a couple cooks as well. And these utilities are pretty heavy duty, so we need to actually bring a pipe to bring water up there to the sink there. I'll have plenty of room for expanding later, but a lot of these utilities are expensive, so we're just going with the bare minimum. And they'll do like 80 prisoners. A chef and all this will do around 80, I believe. And electricity is already all connected perfectly, because they make their own little cable coming out there. And the funny thing is, I don't think you actually need any spaces in between any of this stuff, but I do anyways, and you can't really tell because they're kind of off-center of the tile. But I mean, you can make your stuff bigger. It's a little more expensive for the foundation, but it looks much nicer in my opinion. A lot of the decisions are more up to cosmetics. And let's make sure I got this room right. Oh, see, oh no, it's only 4. You know, I screwed up something. I think I just made it too long. Oh, that's fine. We'll have some fun with it. Okay, we're putting our benches. Each table can have 2 benches. Like so. So we can basically skip 2 for each one. And that should have worked out. I counted that right at least. And your prisoners will just slide down. You don't need a space behind the benches or anything. And the last important part we need is the serving table. This is where your prisoners will, where your cooks will bring the food and where your prisoners get the food from. Pretty simple. I'm just going to put it like, you know what, maybe I don't want the prisoners right by that. There we go. Pretty similar, but I'll just put a bin here on the corner. It's good to have some of these garbage bins around. Otherwise, I may just toss stuff on the floor. You'll see these areas will get very dirty before we have janitors. Alright, once the serving table is done, this canteen will be complete. Let me see if I can place some more tables. Make this look a little better. I did not count this out right. I think I made this too higher than I wanted to originally. It's okay though, we're gonna make this work. Now, I think you can just have the tables go down just like this as well. We'll find out, I suppose. It'll be an experiment. I don't think I'll have this many prisoners though. So each bench can sit 4 prisoners. So each table can sit 8 because there's 2 benches per table. So I have enough room for, 8, 16, 32, 64 prisoners here. So that's plenty. We're only getting 8 arriving. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to be pressured by those prisoners arriving and you want more time to build your prison, just close your intake. It'll stop it. Actually, I guess I'll spend a second to explain all this. So this determines the ratio of the prisoners you're getting. I recommend keeping the max security closed until you have a nicer prison set up and you know what you're doing. You can change the intake to be just a certain number you choose per day. You can choose how many prisoners you want total, so you'll get prisoners up to a certain amount. Or you can just fill it to the capacity of your cells. Right now, I don't really have any real cells. I just have the holding cell, so I don't think that would even do anything. Now, the reason why this holding cell is complaining and claiming there's no canteen, even though there's a perfectly accessible canteen here, is that the area is not closed off. See, it's all open here. So a prisoner walking out of here could just try to make a break for it and possibly escape to freedom. So what we need to do is build a fence all the way around. So what I'm going to do here is start building... you know what? I'm going to actually build a yard first because that's the only thing we're missing. And then I'll build a fence around. It's a pretty simple concept, building a fence. Alright, I'm going to fence off the yard. The yard's going to be in here. And I'm actually going to wait to build it because I can't see where the wall is going to be. That's the only thing I don't like. The only feature is I can't see the walls I have building when I go to room. But if you go to objects, you can see the outline fine. It's kind of weird. There's probably an overview you can put on for that. I'm going to stick some large jail doors around here. And these are actually going to be closed doors. And that's on the outside here, that's mostly so the workmen can get around. And so I can start building expansions easier without having to walk all the way around the fence. There we go, leave us plenty of room for expanding there. See, now the fence will be completely closed off. And we can expand this up here a little bit just for fun. Now, it looks like we do need electricity in this room up here. That's easy to do. Extend these out a little bit. So we don't really want the workmen building around where the prisoners are walking because they might get their hands on tools and stuff. Even in modern times, prisoners are escaping by having access to tools. Alright, I'm going to put a jail door by the yard. I might as well put it by the entrance here. Get a bit more of a path heading up here as well. And now I can actually see where this yard is being placed. You don't really need to make a yard this big. In fact, I'm going to do away with the yard eventually and just expand my canteen and kitchen into this area once my prison is larger. Some stuff you might want to put in the yard. Nothing's actually required, but you will want to put some stuff in there so your prisoners can fulfill their needs. Put like a couple weight benches around. You can put some nicer grass in the yard if you want. Maybe have a phone booth or two. You can even have things like a pool table. And some benches, probably. There you go. Lots of things for our prisoners to fulfill their needs. One of their needs is simply being outside as well, so that's nice. One of their other needs, though, is privacy, and they will not get any privacy in this holding cell, of course. So what we're going to want to do is actually build a cell block. Alright, first, let's hire an accountant, because that's the last thing I need for this. And I've completed 2 grants. So I've got the basics of the prison going, and you know what, let's fast forward and just let these prisoners arrive. And that'd be the perfect way to end the episode. In the next episode, I'll go into more detail on building a cell block. Let's make sure these guys actually get their fence done anyways. Seem to be lagging behind a bit. We'll also want to hire a couple more guards. I like to always have way more guards than I need. I'm also going to, oh never mind, we have plenty of research. I'll worry about that next episode. Let's fast forward this a little bit. Now, if this fence doesn't get built in time, we're going to have some trouble. Come on, guys, you have 1 hour left. It'll be a lot more sound when the prisoners arrive. There's not really any background music. I added some in the beginning just to have something. There we go. Wow. So the prisoners are being escorted by the guards to the holding cells. Later we'll have a reception which will hand them their prisoner garb and other stuff, sort them out better. I can see right now it's kind of a mess. They just kind of hang out here. But I don't think they can escape from here. Not until they get escorted to a cell, and then they're like on their own. Now it's still complaining about the canteens because this fence isn't done yet. Oh wait, no, the fence is done. Oh, I see why, because it's open over here. You know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna build another fence just to keep it simple. Fence right here, just to cut off the staff area from the prison. And that's the only hole. Yeah, everything else is secure. So that's all that was missing. It's fine though, because it's not time to eat yet. See, this place is complaining because there's no prisoners yet either. But that'll be fixed once that fence is built. Very good to know when you're starting off. See, even I made that mistake, so... Because it doesn't really give you any feedback. You're just like, no canteen's accessible. There's a canteen right there. Doesn't tell you need to seal it off. It's a very common mistake, though. Alright, what was I doing in here? Oh yeah, the regime. This is important to know, and I'm going to be changing this a lot later. But at its basic, right now, our prisoners are having free time. And like an hour or two before it's their time to eat, the cooks will start making food, and they'll put all the food at the serving table. So it'll be ready in time for the prisoners to come in here and eat. Alright, let's finish up this fence. Come on, guys. Gotta chop down the tree. Let's speed things up a little bit here. There we go. Now, as you see, everything is working now. And the cooks are making food. And that's the basic setup for a prison for just getting started. And I'll go into more detail on making some actual private cells and cell blocks, as well as expanding the prison in the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys.